England. It's home, and he loves it, you know. And there is a lot of nice things there, but I understand you've got a nice deer park here at Sevenoaks as well, you know. So, and one day, my wife and I, about 4 years ago, we were shopping, and on one of the shops, one of these mural painters, Richard Attenborough had just passed away, and one of the photographs which you see on your sheet there of him directing movies, of course, on the first page, right at the bottom, with his little pork pie hat, someone had drawn that picture on the wall, and on the wall it said, Richmond's Richard. It's a tribute. Richmond's Richard. And it kind of moved me in a way because I had seen him walking about Richmond. I'd followed his career. I loved his acting. I loved his movies. And not only that, David Attenborough has lived nearly all of his married life and still lives at the top of Richmond Hill. So that was what kind of prompted me to do this. Now, before I formally start, I just want to say a little bit about the format. We're going to use the photocopies. I'm going to talk about them. And I'm from a school of public speaking. You probably don't know, it's called the Berkeley School of Public Speaking, which doesn't do a lot of bells and whistles. And it's rather like the way I talk for a long time. I don't refer to a lot of YouTubes or the TV or charts or statistics or anything like that. I like to look at my audience, and obviously this is auditory, listening. Mary, would you like to give that gentleman a sheet at the back? It's just, welcome, sir. There's a little sheet there. So you listen to what I say, but also visually. Some people are visual learners, and they like to look at photographs. Just like when as families, we all get the family snaps out and we say, you know, remember this, remember that. And this is kind of like that. So we've got photographs here of the Attenborough brothers and their mother and father from a very young age. And I am going to concentrate quite a lot on their childhoods. What I find when I do biographies of people is we are all very aware that, particularly as we have more time to think as we get older, how formative our childhoods were. And in the research I've done for this topic, there is a lot of information about their childhoods which perhaps you didn't know. What formed these two extraordinary people for the things that they have achieved. And talking about what they've achieved, you know, politicians pose rhetorical questions. That means they say a question and then they answer it themselves. I rather follow that method as well. And my rhetorical question to you today is, what has been the contribution of the Attenboroughs to British culture and its profile in the world? Because when we're talking about these two individuals, they are very familiar faces all over the world. Besides being familiar faces in Richmond, Surrey, and throughout Great Britain, their programs and their films, or their movies as they call them in America, have gone all the way around the world and been recognized for their excellence all the way around the world. So what has been their contribution of these two extraordinary British people? I think last night they did the BAFTA Awards, the British Television and Film Awards, British Film Awards, BAFTAs. And of course, Richard Attenborough went on to get a lot of Oscars for one of his main movies. And David Attenborough has had so many awards for the TV programs he's had. But that's not all that he has done, as we'll find out in a moment. So let's look a little bit at the Attenborough's family and growing up. They were born in Isleworth in Surrey. Their father was the principal of Borough Road Teacher Training College, which morphed into the West London University. So they came from a kind of academic family. And there were three boys. You can see them just below where it says Bros. There they are. The one on the right-hand side, the cheeky chappie with the grin, on the right-hand side as you're looking at, is Dickie Attenborough, who's always used to play a kind of cheeky chappie in his normal movie roles from the beginning. And he was always very cheerful, very positive. In the middle, with a kind of real charming smile, is David Attenborough. And then at the end is Johnny, the younger brother. We don't hear so much about him. He had a career working for Alfa Romeo. He went to Japan for most of his life and became a managing director of Alfa Romeo. I've got a copy for you, ma'am, as well. It'll be more convenient for you, won't it? Yeah. That's okay, no problem, no problem. They were there. Let's talk a little bit about their father and mother. Of course, they're very influential on everything we do. I've talked a bit about father. The mother had very much a social conscience. And I saw today in the paper that there's going to be a statue of a suffragette put up alongside Winston Churchill in Parliament Square, well overdue, really. But mother had been very interested in the suffragette movement and was very interested in things of social conscience. And for both those boys, that rubbed off a lot. For Richard, in the movies he made, and for David when he talks about global warming and cherishing the planet that we have. So mother was going to be equally as influential on them as their father, who they called the governor. Now the governor, the father, is the kind of a nickname the boys gave him. When the two boys went to him and said what they wanted to do, when Richard said, "I want to be an actor," the father turned round to him and said, "Well, you're going to have to finance yourself, so you're going to have to earn a scholarship to the London School of Dramatic Arts, to RADA, yeah, in London." So what did he do? He went ahead and he got himself a scholarship. And actually, when he went there, because the boys had moved out of London to Leicester, where the father had become head of what was going to morph into Leicester University, they spoke, both of them, with Midlands accents at that time, Midlands accent. So when they went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London, their interview was rather like, have you seen the movie Billy Elliot? You know the story of Billy Elliot, who comes from the north, goes to the ballet school, and everyone around him is talking in a different way to him. It was a little bit like that, and the principal wasn't very keen on Richard's application at first, but when he saw how he could act, he just at the end said, "Well, thank you very much, we'll let you know." They didn't give any inkling he was going to get a scholarship, but he did get a scholarship. And David always was very interested in wildlife and fossils and nature, natural sciences, and he wanted to go to Cambridge University. And the father again said to him, "If you go to Cambridge University, you've got to get a full scholarship." So what did he go and do? He went and got a full scholarship to Cambridge University. So they were hard-working boys right from the beginning. They also had some sisters, which perhaps we don't have them in the picture, but can you remember the kinder trains which came from Austria and Germany with Jewish children on just before the Second World War? Well, the Attenboroughs very generously took in 2 young girls, and they became sisters for the Attenborough family. In the top left-hand corner, you can see Richard was always interested in acting from a young age. He was one of these young children